I started this slide with this. Not all language choices are appropriate for all speakers. Ultimately, speakers should attempt to have a working knowledge of how their audiences could potentially interpret words and ideas to minimize the chance of miscommunication. I hope you understand that. I was just reiterating what we did from Tuesday. So to say that ultimately speakers should attempt to have a working knowledge of how their audiences could potentially interpret words and ideas to minimize the chance of miscommunication. Remember, you were saying sometimes you don't know how to express yourself when you are in a meeting or something. These are the things that I'm talking about. You have to, you must have a working knowledge. You have to have that for your audience. Okay?
Yes.
All right. Ways oral and written language differ. The way I speak, it's not the way I write. Because when I speak, I give sound. When I write, I use letters. Those are two different things. They differ to an extent that you don't know how language in English was formulated. I continuously said, I call English speakers lazy people because they have so many words in one word, but you don't hear them using those syllables. Then I gave yesterday the example of learn. How do you spell learn? Learn, as I say it, I can just write it as L-E-N.
Yes.
It's learn.
Yes. True.
But it's not learn. it's something else. Learn, it's spelled as L-E-A-R-N. Yes, it's totally different from how I say it.
Yeah, sure.
Is how I pronounce it, because my way of saying it orally, it's different from what I write. A second important aspect to understand about language is that oral language that is used in public speaking and written language used for texts does not function in the same way. So far, we are all aware of that they don't function in the same way. How I say it, how I write it, it's totally different. Now, why is it so important that you should be aware of your language in writing and orally? How do you say it? Because an academic language, it's different. Because you're an academic. When you are at university, you're an academic. You have to show that your professionalism, yesterday I said your professionalism should develop. You develop in language, you develop in how to address things, you develop in how you talk to people. So does not function the same way. That is public speaking and written language. But when you prepare for public, I've explained why do we say it's public speaking. When you study for your public writing. That is your assignments, your minutes at work, your own researches and everything else. Those are public speaking people who are supposed to know how language works. Try a brief experiment. Let's do it. Take a textbook, maybe even the one that you are having in front of you, a textbook, and read it out loud. When the text is read aloud, does it sound conversational? When you read the text aloud, does it sound conversational?
Actually, not.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Because public speaking, on the other hand, should sound like a conversation. It should sound like I'm talking to someone, even if I don't have the audience right in front of me. I hope that one is clear now.
Very, very clear.
Yes. You know, when you are conversational, right now we are in class, but we are more conversational than lecturing. I'm just facilitating you alone, and we are conversing. We are not, I'm not facilitating you sitting there and just looking at me and listening. No, we converse. I ask questions, you respond. Yes. We converse, and it's very important that you understand that, oh, this is a conversation. If maybe at last had about 25 people, each one will bring his or her ideas about what we are talking about. And it will be different. And it will be at that time when the conversation is on, when the conversation is really up to say, now we are talking here. So public speaking, on the other hand, should sound like a conversation. You must, when you write, you must always think somebody's going to read this piece of paper. Somebody is going to read this paragraph. Somebody is going to read this essay. If it's a research document, you already think somebody's going to even read and mark my document. So how do I present it? It's very important. How do I present it? Because I have to present it, but I've got to present it academically and professionally. I have to know how language works. Any question?
No question.
Mm-hmm.
No, I agree. I've realized that with public speaking, the person who's doing the public speaking, it commands attention from the other party, second person. Like the listen, and it depends on on exactly what you are saying. You grab their attention, they listen, they find, yeah, that's what I also, yeah. So I agree.
And whilst you are studying this module, that you've got to see on your own, you start practicing that. Am I doing the right thing? The sentence that I've written, is it okay? The paragraph that I've written, that is called editing. You've got to edit your work all the time, and not even using the tools that are there to edit. You must just be this person who has learned the language to an extent that you are able to can see what is right and what is wrong in your work, because you know that. And then when you take it for official editing or for these tools that are there all over to edit, then you are sure that, okay, I've seen this. And then when they confuse you, maybe your instrument is in American English or Australian English or England English, then you are able to can say, Runa, we are using this South African English, where we don't say apologize using a Z, but we say apologize. Yes. It sounds like a Z, but we don't write it that way. But some English speakers pronounce it as a Z at the end. Yes. I'm moving on. Now, let us look at the oral language. I tried to put about 12 points about oral language so that you understand it. Oral language has smaller variety of words. Oral language has words with fewer syllables. I've just set an example of learn. When I talk saying learn, it's like 3 letters. But when you write, it's going to be something else. It's going to be, yes, it's going to be more syllables, more letters to use. Oral language has shorter sentences. When you write, the sentence is long because the syllables that you are using are more all the time, are more. Oral language has more self-reference words like I, me, my. I'm talking to Osmapeo right now. It is me who is talking to her. It's very short, but if I can say write that sentence, it sounds a bit longer. It is mine, meaning that that is possessing. It's mine. But when you're going to write it, I say it's mine. But when I write, it is mine. Can you see that now? I change the it's that I'm pronouncing to it is mine. So when you write, it becomes longer. Oral language has fewer quantifying terms or precise numerical words. Oral language has fewer quantifying terms or precise numerical words. Are we together there?
What does it mean?
Fewer quantifying terms. When I say you are wearing a blue dress, then I come to say I quantify what you are doing. We did a lot of work yesterday, and you are wearing a blue dress. Yes. So the quantity of what we have done is from what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yes, the terms are, or I'm precise. You are wearing a blue dress. I'm precise, I'm straight to the point. Or numerical words, yes. It will take me million years to finish what I'm studying. I quantify, it will take me million years to finish, yes. Can you see? I'm quantifying and I'm doing it in numerical words, million years. And quantify is the million, but I'm doing it numerically. Okay? Now look at the pseudo quantifying terms like many, few, some. The sentence that I've just said, it will take me million years to finish what I'm studying. So it's a pseudo quantifying. Can you see now? How many words have you collected that you don't use every day just from this 6 sentences? How many? The word pseudo, what is it? Do you know the meaning of that? Precise. Yes, the word precise, the word quantify, it's coming from quantity. The word numerical, the precise, those are the words that you build in as your vocabulary. And you start using them because they are new to you, they are new in your vocabulary.
And I now understand them.
Yes. Oral language is more quantifying terms, many, few, some. Okay. Then I move on to this next slide. Oral language has more extreme and superlative words. Extreme and superlative. None, all, every, always, and never. Those are examples. Extreme. I will never die. That's extreme. I say I will never die, but I don't control my life. That's extreme and superlative. I'm saying something that is just, up there for one not to understand. I'm exaggerating it, just like it will take me 1,000,000 years to finish my study. I'm trying to show you that, my study is just too much or too difficult, and I don't even have time to study. So it will take me 1,000,000 years before I complete my studies. You understand when I put it that way? Same as it's the same extreme. None of the students pitched up, or they were all here. You use words that are superlative or extreme at all times. Welcome to Anna and Regina and Lebohang. Hello, are you there? Can you hear me? Unmute yourselves and greet us, please. Lebohang, Anna, Regina.
Good evening, everyone. My apology for connecting very late. I can hear you, ma'am.
We are still here. Thank you, Anna. Welcome. Lebohang? Regina? Lebohang, unmute and say hello to us. Good evening. I just want to check if you can hear.
Hello.
Yes, Regina. Good evening, Regina.
Good evening, everybody.
Okay, pleased to see you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Lebohang, where are you?
I'm here.
Okay, great, great. Welcome. Thank you. I'm glad that everyone can hear.
Thank you.
All right. You find us being on this slide, the slide of oral. But just because you just logged in, I'm going to summarize all the slides. Usmapeu, I'm sorry about that. I'm just going to summarize quickly what we started on, and so that when we finish, everybody is at least having a clue of what was today's lesson about. Okay?
Okay.
Not all language choices are appropriate for all speakers. Ultimately, speakers should attempt to have a working knowledge of how their audience could potentially interpret words and ideas to minimize the chance of miscommunication. This overlaps from yesterday's lesson that there is this problem of interpretation of words and ideas. So when you have a working knowledge of your audience, you are able to can come to their level, or to at least make sure you offend them with what you want to say or you'll be saying. Then I introduced ways oral and written language differ. Written language differs from oral language. I gave an example to Usmapeu that when I say, I learn, if you listen to my pronunciation, I learn, it means I can write learn as L-E-N instead of L-E-A-R-N. When you write it differs from what you are saying, how you pronounce it. This is the slide up, that the slide is about that. Language is that oral language because it's a public speaking. I think I explained what public speaking is, and you prepare yourself to know. You prepare yourself in such a way that you know that people are going to be reading your paragraph, your sentence, your everything. And written language used in text does not function in the same way. That you should know. And as you write, you take longer than before. You don't, when I say I'm writing my essay, it's so short that I'm saying it, but when you write it, you take some time because of all the syllables that you need to use. You have words that you use. Then I said here again, take a textbook, maybe even this one that you are having in front of you, and read it loud. When the text is read loud, does it sound conversational? No. So public speaking, on the other hand, should sound like a conversation. When I talk to you, right now I'm talking to you, I expect you to respond. I am conversational because I converse with you. There is the kind of vocabulary that you can pick up. I want to converse with you. That is why I expect you to respond. That is why when you ask me a question or you want me to clarify anything, I respond, I converse. The next slide that I touched, now we come to oral language, how it differs from the normal written language. Oral language has a smaller variety of words, right? Oral language has words with fewer syllables. Oral language has shorter sentences. Oral language has more self-reference words, I, me, and mine. Oral language has fewer quantifying terms or precise numerical words. The vocabulary that you pick up there is a lot. If you've got to check if you understand the word precise, if you understand the word numerical, if you understand the word quantifying, if you understand the word pseudo quantifying terms, that is your vocabulary that you pick up every day in a lesson, so that when you use these words, you understand what you are saying. Any question? Is there a question or
No
some
questions.
kind of clarity? If there are no
No
questions,
questions.
let's move on. Okay, thank you very much. Then we move on to continuing with oral language, how it differs from written language. Oral language has more extreme superlative words like none, all, every, always, and never. Oral language has more qualifying statements, clauses beginning with unless or except. Now, if you don't know what a qualifying statement is, you won't be able to see that the sentence is qualifying you. You won't even be able to see that this sentence is so extreme. When I say I will never die, it's an extreme sentence. It's an extreme suggestion coming from me that how do you say that? How is it not going to happen? Because we know that our lives end somewhere when we are older and older and older. And sometimes before we are even 30, 35, we are grown-ups. But I say I will never die. So you use the language in an extreme way. Then oral language has more qualifying statements, clauses beginning with unless and accept. Oral language has more repetition of words and syllables. when we say you repeat words, you know, it, I can write it all the time, right? The pronunciation it can be for animals, can be for food, can be for anything. I can use it many, many times. That's repetitive. Oral language uses more contractions. Remember, I gave a slide and a half on contractions, how to use contractions. I hope you recall that and remember. If not, you'll go back to the slides and say, yeah, these are contractions that we were taught. Oral language has more interjections. Whoa, really? No, you're kidding. Those are interjections. But when you write, how do we know that this is an interjection? How do we know? Can somebody answer? How do we know that it's an interjection?
Because that word expresses a feeling. I mean, if I say yes, so you know she's not happy about it. She's not accepting to it. Yeah, I think because it expresses the feeling rather than the meaning of it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think someone can add to that as well.
Thank you.
My fellow
Thank you.
can add to that.
Thank you. Any other explanation of how do we know it's an exclamation? What about an extra exclamation mark? What does an exclamation mark? Remember, we did all these punctuations. What an exclamation mark tells you. It is telling, it's an interjection. It is telling you that somebody's interjecting, I'm sorry. Because when I talk, I'll say, whoa, Anna, you are here. But you hear my voice, the oral way of saying it. But when you write, or when I want to write, I'll just say, whoa, and you are here with an exclamation mark to show you that I'm using an interjection. Part of the contractions that you learned, right? And how do you write an interjection? If it's just whoa, it's a capital letter that you start with, then you write the rest in small letters. And if you are saying this in the middle of a sentence, that's when you are going to use quotation marks, close inverted and open inverted marks. That's when I'm having some hiccup here. I'm sorry, I don't know what is happening. You use the close and open inverted commas. Then oral language has more colloquial and non-standard words. What can you say about colloquial? What is colloquial? Okay. What are non-standard words?
I just know, okay, so I don't know really the meaning of colloquial, but I know some of the examples of colloquial.
Okay, let me hear.
Like, I'm gonna, or you're, you know, like instead of all of you, or then I say you're, or I'm going to, I say gonna. I want to be good. I wanna, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
you are very right. You are right. That's colloquial. It's not, it's slang. It's the language that we don't use. But people use it. Yes, people use it. It's non-standard. It's slang. You can even call it corrupted language. The word has been corrupted. I am gonna, instead of saying I'm going, you're corrupting the verb going, saying gonna. I don't know where all these things come from, because elderly people use them, educated people use them, and they're not right. And if you study and you want to be a professional public speaker in the right way, you will find that you have to you'll find that you have to you find yourself that you need to stop and think about what is happening. Oral language is more colloquial and non-standard words, because in oral language you can take shortcuts, like I have not, I haven't, you use that apostrophe T. And please, please never write your essays at your level. You are at university, you are an academic, you write in full. You write in full, you don't write colloquially. You write in full. Your sentences must be in full. So I've been encouraging you that, please, I hope you have started learning how to write properly. If you are used to using WhatsApp language, if you are used to using one syllables instead of normal syllables, So be careful with that. Any question on oral language? Any question on oral language?
No questions for me.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now I move on to my next slide. There. Whilst we are busy on that, I've been repeating this definition of grammar. I started with that, and I've been encouraging you to understand, because that's the only way you'll be able to write a proper standardized language, which is used all over, which is used academically. You'll be able to do this. So I've added this one also to say, do we still remember what the definition of grammar is? Because now we move forward to use more grammar. Today's class is about grammar. So the systematic study of description of language is called grammar. A set of rules dealing with syntax and word structure of language, it's called grammar. In linguistics, grammar is a set of structural rules that govern the composition of clauses, phrases, and words in any given natural language. It is not to say it is only English that has got grammar, or it is only English that has got a structure of saying the words, of writing the words. No, every language has got that. Your language, my native language, or can I say my home language, has got its way of writing, definition of grammar. It's very important for every language. You check yourself, how do we say things, and how can we say them properly? Yesterday, I dwelt into grammar, the relationship between language and culture. And that is where you can see that definition of grammar is the same. But when it comes to culture, it's different. We use the same language, but our cultures are different. Yesterday, I gave the example of talking to a person, looking at this person in his or her eyes. In my culture, it is wrong to do that. It shows that you are disrespectful. But in the white people culture, they say, if you don't look at me, it means you are lying, or you are a crook, or you are hiding something. So those are the things that you should take care of and know that it is happening this way. In linguistics, grammar is the set of structural rules that govern the composition of clauses, paraphrases, and words in any given natural language. Yes, by the way, I don't know whether there is still that course at UNISA Linguistics. There used to be a course, because we're doing course, not modules, a module called, or a course called linguistics. You just study linguistics of language, of grammar. You just go all out and study the linguistics. So it's part of grammar. There is no way that you're going to study linguistics without learning the definition of grammar. It's part of it. Yes, it's part of it. It's a set that you need to use so that you compose words, clauses, and phrases in any given natural language. As I'm talking, you can think of your own language. How many words do you know? How are they used? When it comes to the variety of language that they use, you ask yourself, is it yesterday? Oh, yes, it's yesterday when I was teaching about interpreting, translating words from this to that. You translate a word in English, you try to say it in Setswana or in Sepedi. I picked a word yesterday, understand. Understand. It's I said it in my language. Understand is katlhaloganya. And yes, Usmapeo said it in her language. Are wakwishisha. What did you say? Kumkwisisa. And when you look at kumkwisisa, there's a word directly for that in English that you kumkwisisa.
To be clear and
yes, to be clear in what you hear, but to understand. Kuyahlaloganya. I'm clearer on what you are saying. So those are the words and the grammar part of language that one should learn. The study of such rules and this field includes morphology syntax, the phonology syntax, often completed by phonetics, semantics, and pragmatics. I'm not going to explain these terms. I'm giving you homework to go. I'm giving you homework. Go and find out what is morphology, what is syntax, what is phonology. Yes. What is phonetics? I mentioned this one many times, that the phonetics of the word, the phonetics of, I remember the other time I even said the phonetics in Setswana are the same with the Afrikaans phonetics, because they are written the same. They are pronounced the same. That is, the phonetics is the same. So go and find out what is phonetics, what is semantics, and what is pragmatics. I didn't give the explanations because I just want you to increase your vocabulary by knowing the meaning of these words. And you will see that you use these things every day in your life. You have semantics, you have phonetics, you have syntax. Every minute when you open your mouth, you find that you have that. Are we still together?
We are together.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. And this is the definition of grammar. And it has got a lot. Definition of grammar is all over. Now, my next slide is this. Grammatical word classes. Some people say grammatical word classes. And some will say word classes, not even grammatical. And some will say parts of speech. All this is about speaking. Remember I said speaking is the second skill that any professional person should have. You've got to develop that. As a working person, as a public writer, as a public speaker, you need to understand that. Then I repeat this because I said it. In our own language, speaking is usually the second language skill that we learn. That is the second language skill. By the way, what is our first language skill that we learn? Oh, you are just being born and you already read. Anna.
Listening.
Sorry?
Is it listening?
Yes. Listening is the first. Listening is the first skill. Remember, there are four. We have listening, then speaking. After speaking, what do you think will follow?
What did you say?
I can't hear you. I don't know what's wrong. I can't hear you.
Who spoke before me? I think the one she said, the one she mentioned.
Are you writing it down?
I'm trying to remember her answer. The first one she said. That's the one now that I'm
Yes, I agree with you that the first one is listening. The second one, as I've mentioned, is speaking. And the third one would be, others can also throw their answers. Unmute and answer.
What was said by someone in the group?
Sorry?
No, I was saying the first person that gave an answer.
I think it's writing.
Writing.
Yes,
Writing is
after
a third.
yes, ma'am. The third skill.
It's writing. And why do you say it's writing? The third skill.
Yes, because I think we start by learning through listening. Then after
Yes.
we'll start to speak. After speaking, we'll start to put on how to write those words that we are speaking, that we're pronouncing.
Oh, okay. I think
I disagree. I disagree.
It's reading. After speaking, it's reading.
Yes.
After
Yes.
Ah.
After speaking is reading, because you are taught to read first. A, E, I, O, U.
Oh,
Then, yes. Then how will you read A, E, I, O, U? How will you write A, E, I, O, U if you don't have the sound of A, E, I, O, U? You don't have the sound? So for you to start after speaking, you are now reading, because you have the vocabulary in your head. You have all these words that you have been hearing from when you were born. A child hears the sound of the mother continuously. The people surrounding that child, the child hears very, very well and responding to that noise. That is why they are able to can see if the child's hearing has got a defect. Same as the eyes. They are able to can see that, and it's very easy. So you listen. After listening now, okay, the sounds are there, all these lyrics are there, you hear the syllables, you hear the music, you hear this as a child. Then you start speaking the same way. The same things that you hear, that you have been taught as a child, you just mimic those words.
Yes.
Yes, mama will start saying to a child, mama, mama. And you'll hear the child after 3 months, mama, 6 months, mama, saying it very, very clearly because they mimic what they hear. They are listening and they mimic what they hear. Then after that, as the growth progresses, the child is now going to read. Can you see this? It is meaning for mama. Then the child is going to start mimicking that without writing. The child mimics that. So the last skill will be that one. We're going to, like I've dwelt on the listening skill, and this is what I did on the speaking skill this week. I was busy on the speaking skill. The third one, we will dwell on it the same way to show you how important these skills are for every human being, starting from birth. They hear. Actually, children don't only hear from birth, they hear while they're inside their mother's wombs. They can hear. That is why it is encouraged that when you are pregnant, you must always talk to your child. Always. Even before the child starts kicking, the fetus, let me not say child, the fetus starts kicking, you must always talk to this fetus. They hear you because you are connected with this person through your umbilical cord. So speaking is very important. There are children today, maybe in my class also as we are together, there are those who cannot pronounce R. They say, rolling the I and vibrating between the teeth and the gums. Some children cannot say they say they use the throat. Some is because of the language, the Sotho language, the South Sotho. That's how they speak. It's their language, it's fine. That's how they pronounce words. But there are children who does that because the mother happens to speak like that, cannot pronounce an R. And if you ask the mother, why do you say R? She doesn't know. It happens that she just decided to hear that R from somewhere. And now it's going on like that. The whole family cannot cannot pronounce R. They go R. It is just a way of hearing the syllables. It's a way of speaking the syllables. It starts from somewhere, and it won't be easy for a teacher to change a child who learned those syllables. The R will remain R. Even if the teacher tries to say, pronounce the R the right way, because this sound is stuck in the mind, in the biology of the child, it's not going to be removed easily. It will take a big effort for this child to move from saying R to R. It's not easy, even if the child mixes with other children who are saying R. So it's a common thing, because when I was studying English, I wanted to know, man, what causes this? Then I read a lot about it. That is why I know that it starts from the hearing. The child says what the child hear, and the child speaks. The sound that comes to him or her as it goes out from the first person this child is interacting with. Are we together, class?
Yes,
we
ma'am.
are.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. In our own language, speaking is usually the second language skill that we learn. We are satisfied with that one. It's the second skill from hearing, listening. Then we come to speaking. Then I have put this just to, I just want to stress, class, I just want to stress this as much as I can for you to remember how to construct a sentence, how to see that your sentence is not complete or it's wrong. I know I've dealt with all these contractions. I've dealt with the parts of speech. Some call them parts of speech here. The slide here. It's called word classes, grammatical word classes, or it's called word classes, or called parts of speech, or the grammar. It still boils down to the same thing. It doesn't change. It doesn't change anything. It still boils down to adverb, adjectives, verbs, pronouns, preposition, nouns, and determines, conjunction. They all fall under word classes. It's word classes. And if you don't have this basic, I'm telling you, you won't be able to even write one sentence before it is marked wrongly. That, what are you trying to say? Because you are supposed to understand that verbs are action words. Right now, I'm teaching. The word teaching is a verb. So you cannot have a sentence without a verb. It is not right. Examples there. This is not my making. I took it from somewhere, from one book. Action there: to run, to organize, to read, to think, to translate, or intransitive. Transitive or intransitive. All these things happens in your mind as you are listening to a person, as you are writing. You just use action words without even thinking, because you have learned to understand them. Linking: to be, to book, to appear, to seem, to smell, to rush. You know, those are linking verbs that one uses on daily basis. And then you have helping auxiliary. Those verbs are helping the auxiliary. I can run. I can run. The verb is run. But I have this auxiliary that helps the verb to clarify what I'm trying to say. I can run. That can, what is it doing? It's help. It's an auxiliary verb. It is helping. It is just helping people to understand what you can do. Then you go to adverbs. Adverbs, what are these? Place. Can you see here, there, outside, everywhere? Those are adverbs. I can run from here. Or let me leave the auxiliary verb and say, I run from here. The adverb is there to give the sentence some sense. That's the adverb. I cannot stress this more than what I did, just to give you, at all times when you write, when you construct sentences, just check if you understand what a pronoun is. Just check if you understand what a pronoun is. I am talking to you, or I talk to you. Leave the M. I talk to you. It's a personal pronoun. I talk to you. So it's personal, or you demonstrate. Personal object. It's me who called you. It's me who called you. You further understand that, oh, demonstrative but personal. Interrogative. How are you? Where are you? What are you doing? When are you coming back? All these are pronouns, but they have names. They are classified into personal, demonstrative, and interrogative. You know, when you were at high school, you have heard about pronouns. But at university, you go deeper now to say, okay, these pronouns are classified in different ways. And how do I use them? You heard about pronouns and you were taught how to use a pronoun. Replace your name, a proper noun, with a pronoun. That's what you have been doing. You know it. But did you know that when you replace that, is it a demonstrative pronoun? Is it a personal object? Is it, you ask yourself, now you go deeper. You grow, you develop your professional usage of the language by going deeper. All these terms, you met them several times from primary school when you were taught English. But you go deeper now to be able to construct sentences using them without thinking that, oh, now I want to use a noun. Where is noun? Noun? What is a noun? You don't do that. It's spontaneous. Spontaneity, vocabulary, add your vocabulary, spontaneous. How do you spell this spontaneous? Can someone try? How do you spell spontaneous? English. As I say, the spoken word differs from the written word. Spontaneous. How do you spell it? Anyone try, please?
Can I try?
Yes, please.
It's spontaneous, right?
Yes.
It's S. It's SPONTANEUS.
Yes.
Spontaneous.
Yes. Can you see how many syllables have you added there?
Yes.
Yes. Spontaneous. Now you have you have the E there, you have the U, and you are just trying to say spontaneous. When I say
Yes.
it is not as you spell it. So that is why I was saying the oral differs from the written. And with English, it becomes more difficult because they add words, they add syllables in words that they don't even pronounce or use. To me, they don't use them. That is why I say they are lazy to use their own language. So you see those words and you see preposition. When you talk, you don't stop and say, I use a preposition now. Can I say in that direction, or I'm going towards that direction? Oh, it's a preposition. Then you write towards and write preposition. And it doesn't happen that way because you have enough syllables that you have been gathering as you are listening to sounds, as you have been listening to words from adult people. You have been gathering words. You can construct a sentence. It is now when you go into the academia that you need to understand that when you say this sentence is not right, what does it mean? It means your adverbs and your verbs are confused, or you are saying you are replacing a noun with a verb or a preposition instead of a pronoun. You are doing such things. So this table is purely to give you that thing of saying, okay, conjunctions are coordinating. What is a conjunction? They will say it's a joining word. You take the two sentences and use a little word between them so that this sentence becomes one. Okay? It becomes one. I am with, I've mentioned this. Remember that sentence where I said Kidiboni and Matlala are here. I even said that day, I don't know when was it, but I know it's in my mind. Both Kidiboni and Matlala are here. Remember I said that? This photographic mind of mine, I know I spoke about this sentence somewhere, somehow, when we're doing conjunctions, that you can say both are here. The sentence is complete. Or you use a conjunction. Kidiboni and Matlala are here. That's English. Correlative conjunctions, both. Can you see the both there? Correlative conjunctions. Same as either or. Either the teacher nor the students are here. Neither nor the student, neither the teacher nor the students are here. Words like unless, while, after, since, all those are conjunctions, but are subordinating conjunctions. I know some of them you didn't know that, oh, this is a conjunction. I wondered, I didn't know. I go to school after church. It's a sentence and it's complete. I go to school after church. It's a subordinating conjunction. After is a conjunction. It's not a verb. It's not an adjective. It's a conjunction. Then when you use such in sentences, you use them spontaneously, but you happen to know that, oh, I used a conjunction here. And what type of conjunction have I used? There are three types. There is coordinating conjunction, there is correlative conjunction, there is subordinating conjunction. Then you write your sentence properly. Same as sometimes prepositions and conjunctions are confusing. I live in Pretoria. I live in Pretoria. You cannot say I live Pretoria. The sentence changes now. When you say I live Pretoria, when you speak, I live Pretoria, it's giving me the impression that you are going away from Pretoria, of which in your mind you wanted to tell me that you live in Pretoria, and the spelling of live, which one are you using? Are you with me, class? Or I'm confusing you more?
We're with you.
You're with me.
Glenda.
I'm glad that you are with me. I'm glad. You are learning. I hope you are learning for your exam. I hope you are learning for your exam, and October is your exam time. Ooh, yeah, I hope you are ready, or it will be ready by then. Okay? Yes. So nouns there, proper nouns, verbal nouns, collective nouns, compact nouns, abstract, uncountable, countable, and so on and so on. When you hear about proper nouns, you think of nothing else but names. It can be a name of a person. It can be a name of a place. It can be a name of an animal. Proper nouns are just names. towns and stuff like that. Any question?
No questions.
No question.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I like it when you respond. I just repeat this again so that you see. You know, you cannot say you didn't learn the English grammar and the word classes. If you can say that, I'll cry. Because I made sure that the basic of English grammar, you have it. Here now it clarifies. A noun is the name of a person, place. I've just mentioned that and giving you examples. You go to preposition. Preposition explain the relationship between the words in a sentence. It indicates direction, time, blah, 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 blah. A conjunction make it possible to build a complex sentence that express multiple ideas. Then you use a conjunction. Now here, there's no classification exactly the types of conjunctions that we have, but it's a conjunction. You simply just learn about this and understand how to use a conjunction, how to use a verb. This is what I call spoon feeding. What I did this week, it was just spoon feeding. The 3 days, yes, the 3 days I was just spoon feeding, so that when I leave, then you are able to can say, at least I've gained so much vocabulary. I understand the English grammar, or I understand what word classes are in English. I'm not just singing them to say a pronoun is a doing word. A pronoun that, yes, a person saying a pronoun is a doing word. How? You are singing something and it's so wrong. Because how is it a doing word, a pronoun? Then you go to the slide and say, oh no, I've got it wrong. Then you check quickly what an adverb is. Or you receive corrections from your lecturer, and your script is read, or your work is just painted red when it was marked. You ask yourself, what is it that I've done wrong? Or somewhere, some markers will just put T for tense. Some will just put, using letters to make you aware that this sentence, tense, your tense is wrong. Or on this one, mixing of English word classes. They'll correct you that way. Then you ask yourself, how did I go wrong? Because you sing it wrongly in your mind. You say a pronoun is a doing word. How? Where do you get that? Obviously, you got it from somewhere. Anything that sticks into your mind as something that you heard and you try to use it, you've got to check if you are using it correctly. When I say colloquial, underline your word. You have written something, I underline and say colloquial. You've got to know what colloquial is. Then you check the word that you have written, that what you have written is wrong. What you have written is colloquial. It means we don't talk like that. We don't say, I'm gonna listen now. I'm gonna go. That's how people talk and think that they're speaking English, of which they are saying the wrong way. Even our own languages, we corrupt them. We corrupt everything. Our idioms are corrupted. Idioms I wish I will be able to get to those clauses and phrases that are used in English so that you see how language is rich in explaining things. You were not here yesterday when I was explaining that when you read English from the Shakespearean books, it's different from the Shakespeare that has been translated I even gave an example of the Bible. The original Bible is different from what we are reading today because of people are trying to translate, to simplify, to do things that, you know, they're trying to teach people, of which the Shakespearean language, thee, thou art, you know, you get that and you say, what is thee now? My highness, my, you know, they speak using those terms, and they are not colloquial. That's the correct original English. Hence, I gave the example of a Bible that you can go get any Bible now. It's totally different from the King James Bible. The Lord's Prayer written there. You know, the Lord's Prayer, I gave that example because it's a very common piece of scripture that we learn from the Bible, the Lord's Prayer. Very simple, but it's written in different languages. They replace words with whatever. They replace it, but because they are trying to simplify the language. And not only that, it is the translation that causes the corruption of the whole thing. The translations, because when I say I understand in my language, I say then I'm going to write it that way in my language. Then somebody said then it's correct that way, and so on and so on. Then when it goes further down, you see that things have changed. But now when you go to your basics, this sentence, is there a noun in the sentence? That is, does it make sense when I say, I live Pretoria, and the other sentence I say, I live in Pretoria? Those are two different sentences. The meanings are totally different. And you ask yourself, what makes them different? You ask, okay, the spelling of live here. Or, oh, here I have this little word, I live in Pretoria. The word that is giving the verb more meaning than what I am saying. Okay, class? Another last one. Can you see this one? They call it parts of speech. We spoke about grammatical word classes, parts of speech. We speak about the same thing. The same things. Parts of speech are verbs, nouns, adjectives, and so on. Grammatical word classes are verbs, nouns, and so on. But I wanted to stress so that you get this into your heads, that if you understand these basics, you understand the language of English, and you can use it anywhere. It doesn't matter where and how. You understand the usage of words. Action or state. Be, have, do, like, work, sing. Look at the example. My dog is a collie. I like to play fetch with her. What is a collie? Then you check, oh, vocabulary. What is a collie? You check what a collie is. Why this person is calling a dog a collie. Collie in a corrupted language, tsotsital, collie ki cool drink. Is that not so? Collie. On tekele collie da. That's how they talk. They corrupt the language. Instead of saying cool drink, they say collie. And now this person says, my dog is a collie. I'm giving you another homework. I'm not going to tell you. I'm editing homework. Remember the syntax, the phonology and morphology. I said, please check for you to understand the syntax. Hey, but it means I'm alone again. Okay. Now,
No, ma'am, you're not.
You are too quiet. You are too quiet now. I just feel, oh, they are gone already. I'm done actually. I tried to summarize this as much as I can today, because for the past 2 days we had issues, we had electricity issues, but I hope that whatever you want to be clarified on in our next lessons, we will be together. That is after this week. The coming week, it's not you, it's the other module. Any questions?
No question.
If there are no questions,
No
thank
questions.
you. If there are no questions, thank you very much. Thank you for attending. I hope I'll meet you again next week, Tuesday.